Welcome to SVG-TV News for Tuesday, June 20th, 2017. I am Rochelle Batiste with the details. One must always adhere to the regulations in relation to the promotion of public officers. That's according to Errol Boucher, president of the Public Service Union, as he spoke on the legal action the union is taking against the Public Service Commission. Speaking at a media conference earlier today, Boucher used the example of the Immigration Department, where he said several senior officers were overlooked in the selection for a senior position in favor of a person from outside the department, a situation which he believes shows a lack of fairness.
In 2010, that very post became vacant. And in 2010, it was filled by Ms. Burke, who happened to be the wife of the CPO, then CPO, Tyrone Burke. The post was never advertised. The senior officers were never given a chance to even submit applications. Ms. Burke would have come from education and filled that post. Recently, the post again became vacant. And again, it was filled, or it is currently occupied, by someone who would have served with them while she was on the YES program, or the SET program, one of those programs. That is the experience that that person would have had. And then they would have come in and gone to the top of all of those officers.
Boucher questioned the criteria which is used in the promotion process and noted that such situation in the public sector has prompted the union to take the legal action.
There is clearly a lack of transparency and a lack of fairness. Given all of that, the Public Service Union decided that they will take this matter to court and challenge the Public Service Commission on its fairness, lack of transparency, and its adherence to the regulations that governs the promotions of public officers.
Boucher expressed confidence in the success of the union's legal action against the Service Commission.
So we look forward to when this matter is heard. It should be sometime this year. I cannot recall if it's in July or August, but it will be held sometime this year, and we are quite confident, given the cases that we have brought forward, the affidavit that we have brought, that it is extremely difficult for service commissions to defend against any one of those cases that support what we're trying to do here.
In other news, with Tropical Storm Brett moving away from the Windward Islands, persons in this country are still being encouraged to monitor the weather condition. As a precaution, schools across the nation were closed today. However, normal session will resume tomorrow. And Acting Director of the National Emergency Management Organization, Michelle Forbes, said that she is pleased that no report of injury were reported within the last 24 hours. Forbes said that there was moderate to heavy rainfall last night, and there were reports of 3 buildings losing their roofs, one at Level Gardens, another at Newman's Rose, and a small shop at Upper Cane Hall. The acting director of NEMO said that assessment is still being carried out throughout the country and encouraged persons to keep abreast of Satchel Hill and other areas. Sprott commended the teams on working to restore power in these areas while apologizing for the inconvenience caused.
We had some disruptions in some areas overnight. For example, in an area called Kitchen in Brighton, there was a burnt pole, so there were some customers in Brighton and surrounding areas who were without electricity overnight. However, we have restored power in that area. We had some loss as well in Choppins and Fair Hall, Dorsetshire Hill, Queen's Drive, and Cane Hall, and that was because of a burnt insulator. There were some pockets of customers across the country as well who were without electricity, and in Cane Grove, Penistone, Vermont, and Queensbury, we had reports of outages. Our teams worked throughout the day, and they were able to restore power to most areas. So as at 4 this afternoon, there were just 2 areas without electricity, and we had a team on site working to restore the electricity.
And with the acquirement of an asphalt plant, communications officer for the Roads, Buildings and General Services Authority, BRAXA, Roxanne Millington, said they have embarked on a road repair program throughout the country. She pointed out that the top 10 critical areas in each community will be addressed first.
What we have done is to earmark the top 10 critical roads in each constituency throughout the country. After that, we are going to continue with additional roads in each constituency. We now have full control of the asphalt plant from IADC, and we are producing asphalt on a weekly basis. Some of the areas we have covered so far are Lomans Winwood, Glen, Maurice Village, Block 2000, Sharps, Level Gardens, Paul's Avenue and Kingston Park. Our in-house patching unit would have patched Kingston over the weekend, so we did some work on Sunday around Kingston. And as usual, we also want to appeal to the public for their full support. There may be a few inconveniences to the public, but we will try our utmost best to complete these repair works soonest. We are also into the hurricane season and would like to appeal to persons to desist from throwing garbage.
Militant said that there was little damage to the road network as a result of the weather condition and urged persons to keep drains clear for the smooth flow of water.
The only reports we got was some blocked drains on the leeward side, so nothing really significant to report on. We're into the hurricane season, and BRAXA is always prepared for any major flooding or landslides. We're always there prepared to assist where needed.
There is no need for Vincentians to panic. This assurance comes from Assistant Superintendent of Police Hezron Ballantyne speaking to SVG-TV News on the recent daylight shootings in capital Kingston. Commenting on the shooting incident in the Rose Place area where Kamel Peters was killed on the spot and another sustained injury in broad daylight on Friday, June 16th, ASP Ballantyne said the incident is not enough to justify a reason for alarm.
The police received information about a gunshot shooting at Rose Place. Personnel from the Major Crime Unit along with CID personnel and other police officers responded to the scene at Rose Place. On arrival, a young male was met lying face down with what appeared to be multiple injuries about his body. He had signs of life, but he was unresponsive. The police removed the body from the scene and was taken to the Milton K2 Memorial Hospital to seek medical attention. Later same day, the police received information that this young male, whose name revealed to be Kamel Peters of Greenhill, succumbed to the injuries. We also received information that Shamel Hazel, 21 years old of Beckway, was also shot at Rose Place and was a patient at the Milton K2 Memorial Hospital.
The high-ranked cop noted that their investigations have led them to believe that the recent gun-related crimes are solely based on targeted persons.
And should Vincentians be wary of their safety?
From an investigative point of view, I can tell you that these persons, based on our investigation, we realize that these persons have their targets and they know who they are looking for, and they use the opportune time to do so. Once they get the opportunity to execute their basically who they want to get, they will do so at all costs. But I can tell you that they have their targets. It's not to say that persons just going around and shooting any persons.
Mr. Valentine, you're a man of great experience, and with this knowledge, knowing that basically you're telling me that they're gang related. So far we have 13 murders, 10 are gun related. What professional decision are you taking to curb these crimes?
We continue to increase our patrols. We continue to put strategic measures in place so that we can ensure that our citizens are safe. We continue to have our units, especially our strategic units, respond to areas that are hot, where we consider that incidents like these are happening, to ensure that all visitors and citizens are safe.
Noting that of the 13 murders thus far, 6 have been solved, ASP Ballantyne added that the SVG police force fully intends to keep criminals at bay and appeal for the public support with their crime-fighting measures.
What decision would you take in terms of curbing daylight murders? Because so far it has been 2 shootings in broad daylight, I would assume. But we cannot go on and off on a limb to say that there won't be any more occurrences of this. What decision would you take?
Well, I can tell you, the police cannot be here, there, and everywhere. But I will continue to put police present in more strategic areas, more places that we believe that these crimes are prone to happen. I will ensure that the patrols, the units that are responsible for doing that they do it 24 hours so that our citizens can be much more safe.
Is that happening now, sir?
Yes, as we realize and we're embarking on the carnival activities, I know for a fact that the commissioners, they make sure that they have these units in place so that they can patrol and respond to any situation that act is ugly head.
Aiming to build the emergency response capacity, Herons and Vincent and the Grenadines, the Ministry of Health, Wellness and the Environment hosted a 2-week training course on mass casualty management and emergency care and treatment, which saw the participation of 38 individuals from various sectors. Noting that participants were involved in intense hands-on training, Disaster Health Coordinator Donna Bascom thanked all major stakeholders for their input in making the training possible. Bascom added that the training was split into 2 batches, with 28 persons gaining certification in mass casualty management training and the remaining 10 gaining training in emergency care and treatment.
You know, health is heavily involved. So we worked through PAHO, and they provided the technical assistance, and we got funding from Canada. Both programs. For the first week, we ran a mass casualty management training course, and we are targeting our first responders. And our first responders, when I say first responders, I'm not just talking about health. We are doing this as a multi-sectorial approach. So we have the police, we have the Coast Guard, we have fire, Red Cross, NEMO, and of course, health, hospital and health district. Emergency care and treatment training. That's skewed a little bit more towards health. As first responders on the scene, you should know or be able to recognize if a person is very critical, moderately so, or if they could wait.
Pointing out that the Ministry of Health has seen it fit to take the lead in rolling out the various training programs this year. Bascom said plans are already in place to further develop the nation's emergency response capacity.
Well, as you can see, the Ministry of Health continues to be a leader. We have just created a health disaster management unit, and the emphasis of that is to build capacity in health so that we could manage all little incidences and then better manage when things happen on a national basis. So you're looking at more of the same, mass casualty and emergency care and treatment training courses, but we're also looking at an incident command systems training for our senior managers, because when something happens, you know, the senior managers are called out to run the operations of the organization, but also to run the operations of the incident, and we have to speak the same language.
Facilitator of the training sessions, Peter Burgess, commended the Ministry of Health for their continued efforts in seeking training for its officers and other persons involved in emergency response.
These last 2 weeks have been very intense. We started out with mass casualty management last week and then coming into ECAT this week. One of the things that I must say is that the enthusiasm showed by the participants in both trainings was exceptional. Everybody paid attention, they really put the effort in, they showed good attitude and aptitude towards the training. And when it came to practical exercises, everybody fully participated, dedicated, and you have your resources, you know, you have all the equipment to train with, and whatever you need, at a moment's notice, they can go and get it for you. And that is very encouraging as a trainer, because once you have that kind of support and backing, then the rest is just for the participants to do their part. And I must say that for these 2 weeks, the participants really put in, you know, some of them had to go to work and stuff, and it was hard on them, but they persevered.
Seeking to empower persons living with chronic diseases to learn new strategies that will assist them in managing aspects of their condition in a confident manner. The Ministry of Health, Wellness and the Environment, in collaboration with the Pan American Health Organization, PAHO, will host a one-day workshop here tomorrow, Wednesday, June 21st, at the Methodist Church Hall from 8:30 a.m. Under the theme Self-Care Management for Persons with Chronic Diseases, the workshop will engage participants from various diabetic and hypertensive groups attached to the health centers across SVG, as well as members of the Diabetes and Hypertension Association. It is expected that the workshop will aid in enabling persons with chronic conditions to be better equipped to utilize necessary skills in managing their illness. More Vincentians are being encouraged to voluntarily donate their blood, as this could save someone's life. The encouragement comes from Kamara Kitals, medical technologist at the Milton K2 Memorial Hospital, as she spoke on NBC's radio's Views and Issues program, as she highlighted the need and advantages of donating blood. Kitals stated that many Vincentians may need blood transfusions due to various medical issues, and appealed to members of the public to become a blood donor.
Complications of pregnancy. A mother might deliver and has both postpartum hemorrhage and may require blood, as well as we have babies who are born and have some form of deficiency and may require transfusion. But so far, I think to accommodate surgical procedures, that's where we find the most need for blood. And I must stress here that, as Mrs. Millington said before, it's sometimes hard to be able to go hunting for donors. That's why we are trying to stress the importance of giving blood and giving blood voluntary. We know it's hard when you have a relative who may need blood. You're already under some form of distress, you're troubled. And to have that added burden of trying to find donors, that's really hard. So that's why we're encouraging persons to just come give blood. If you give blood on a voluntary basis, we'll always have that stock. So we won't have to ask family members of relatives to come in and donate, because we'll already have it there, so they can just concentrate on recovery.
Kitals took the opportunity to assure persons that the blood which is donated is tested to ensure that various diseases are not passed from one person to another.
The fear of giving blood. A lot of people have the fear because they're just a fear of the needle, the fear of the process, and a lot of people are also afraid of knowing their status. We have to test each unit for HIV, hepatitis B, surface antigen, hepatitis C, HTLV1 and 2, that's human T lymphotropic virus, as well as syphilis. And all these are diseases that can be transmitted through blood transfusion. So it is, when a person always transfuses a unit, that blood has been tested and proven negative for all those
for all of these,
for all those infections. We do not give blood that is tainted. If a blood unit is collected and after testing it's positive for one of the markers, we have to discard that unit.
She also took the opportunity to dispel some myths surrounding the issue of who can be a blood donor.
Some of the myths, I would say, we tend to have to dispel for blood donation. Other people think because I have a tattoo I cannot give. You can give blood with a tattoo once the tattoo has been applied more than a year ago. You can give blood if you're diabetic, if you're hypertensive. If you're diabetic, you can give blood if you're just on your metformin, your tabs and your exercise, your diet. But you cannot give if you're diabetic, if you're on insulin. If you're hypertensive, you can give once you're taking your medication. Your hypertension is under control. You're having no side effects on the medication. And on the day that we check your pressure is within acceptable limits. So those are a few of the requirements.
Parents here are being encouraged to pay attention to the quality of education delivered to their children. Speaking on WFM's Issues at Hand program on Sunday, discussing issues surrounding the placement of the top performers at the CPA examination, educator Philbert John stated that in the past, a handful of schools will receive the top performers and resources, noting that a study showed a great disparity between schools in Kingston and in rural areas. John said this gap has significantly narrowed over the years, with various schools receiving a boost in capacity, and called on parents to play a more proactive role in ensuring a good quality education for their children.
There was great disparity in many respects, and that was in 1990s, 1995, 96, thereabout. And looking at it again today, the gap has narrowed tremendously.
Yes.
And the same indices, the gaps have been narrowed, and not by accident, by policy, by deliberate policy of the government to bring these other schools up to a certain level. Did you take a high school and a grammar school, the number of graduate teachers assigned was unlimited. There was a situation where the maximum in rural secondary school was 6. That is no longer the case. It has been expanded. Okay, and parents need to pay attention to these things, and not only just pay attention to them, parents need to demand. If you live in a community where there's a good secondary school and you want the children to go there, and you realize that there are certain deficiencies, go to the parliament representative, have some civic discussion and say, listen, we need our school to be improved.
A number of Vincentians continue to reap the benefits from the Division of the Adult and Continuing Education. On Monday, over 50 persons successfully completed a cake baking course in the Cane Hall area. At the graduation ceremony, the graduates were urged to build on the skills they have acquired, as it could be the beginning of a thriving career. Nolisha Miller has more in this report.
The Division of Adult and Continuing Education Days continues to positively impact the lives of many Vincentians with the availability of free training courses in several areas. On Monday, a graduation ceremony was held at the Doris Mackey Resource Center in Cane Hall for 50 participants who successfully completed a cake baking course. Zonal Coordinator Leroy Rock spoke highly of Days, noting it has attracted a wide cross-section of participation throughout the country. Rock noted that they initially catered for 35 participants for the cake baking course. However, with 125 persons registering, they had to increase the number to 55.
It was difficult to drop out anyone. You know, a lot of persons, especially I emphasize that it is really for unemployed persons and persons who are at the bottom of the ladder in terms of receiving salaries. We say we are trying to develop those persons who are at the bottom, and we're trying to make the unemployed employable.
Rock urged the graduates to continue to build upon the skills gained during the course, as he anticipates a bright future for all.
The journey has now started. When I look around, especially in Kingston, I see some character cakes. And if you go down to Camden Park, you will see the different types of cakes. So I want you to reach that level, that standard, so that you in turn could make yourself very valuable with the knowledge that you have gained from us.
Facilitator Julia Clark shed light on the bond which was created amongst her and the participants throughout the course.
Another of my strategy was to demonstrate and then they will do. This gave me the opportunity to move from table to table, to observe and assist where necessary. And those who grasped this concept helped those who didn't get it in the first time.
Meantime, DACE Director John Zan George spoke on the high demand of the program and further highlighted the success persons have gained following their participation.
We've had, some time ago, we had a program in Kittles, and we had over 90-something persons, and you have people coming from Sandy Bay and Fancy in the programs on an evening. A lot of our employers are preferring to deal with adult persons who they say are in industry already.
Reiterating the government's commitment to national development, Parliamentary Secretary in the Ministry of Education, Deborah Charles, stated that the DACE program helps to encourage persons to be self-reliant and build a career for themselves.
You have come away with an experience that is enriching. The government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines has a mantra, and that is to develop its people educationally.
On Wednesday, June 21st, another batch of participants would be graduating from a housekeeping class in Barrowley, while on Tuesday, June 27th, persons in the community of Sandy Bay will graduate from a basic electrical installation course. Nolisha Miller, The Evening News.
That was our local news.